The automatic doors of Harper's groceries slid open with their usual sigh, that soft, tired hiss that sounded almost human, like the store itself exhaled every time another customer walked in. Inside, the air was a mix of floor cleaner, warm bread, and thyme, the kind of scent that belonged to small towns where everyone knew everyone. At register 4 stood Evelyn Brooks, 63, hair pinned neatly, glasses sliding down her nose, and a quiet smile that had learned to hide exhaustion better than any makeup ever could. She had worked here for 19 years, long enough to watch toddlers grow into adults who now paid for groceries with credit cards that once belonged to their parents. Every beep of the scanner marked not just a sale, but another second of her life passing quietly between shelves of cereal and canned soup. The routine. Morning shift. 7:45 a.m. Evelyn hung her cardigan on the hook behind the counter and clocked in. Her name tag, scratched, old, and slightly crooked, read Evelyn B. The younger cashiers called her Miss Evelyn. They liked her because she was calm, never complained, never snapped, and always had extra mint in her pocket. But calm was a learned skill, a skill that came after decades of chaos, mistakes, and regret. She once had dreams beyond these aisles. She wanted to run a flower shop, travel, maybe even teach art someday. But life had a way of closing doors before you even reached for the handle. A shadow from the past. It was around 2 p.m. when she noticed him, a tall man in his 40s, wearing a gray coat and carrying a worn leather wallet. There was something in the way he stood by the apples, like he didn't belong there, like the store was too ordinary for someone like him. When he stepped closer to her register, she froze. Paper or plastic? She asked automatically, scanning the items. He smiled slightly. You still ask that, huh? She looked up. The voice, the eyes. For a second, her heart forgot how to beat. Daniel, she whispered. He nodded. The history they shared. 25 years ago, Evelyn Brooks wasn't a cashier. She was a manager of a small community bank. And Daniel Carter was a scared 19-year-old who had walked in with trembling hands and a fake check. She had caught him before the police did. She could have called them. She didn't. Instead, she sat him down, looked him in the eye, and said, "One mistake doesn't have to define the rest of your life." She helped him get a part-time job at a garage. She even lent him a few dollars, told him to pay her back when he could. But life turned cruel after that. The bank downsized. Evelyn lost her job. Her marriage fell apart. Bills stacked up. And she ended up here, scanning groceries, counting coupons, and pretending she didn't remember the woman she used to be. The conversation. "Daniel Carter," she said softly, the scanner still beeping between her words. "You became taller and richer, it seems." He chuckled. "I did all right. Opened my own auto shop. Then a few more. Guess I kept fixing things until life stopped breaking me." "That's good," she said, forcing a smile. "I'm proud of you." He looked at her, really looked, and noticed the tired hands, the slight tremor in her voice. "You helped me when no one else would," he said. "You believed in me. I never forgot that." She tried to wave it off. "That was a lifetime ago." "Maybe," he said quietly, "but I owe you a lifetime for it." The gesture. He handed her a small envelope along with the payment. "Please," he said, "don't open it here." She frowned but nodded. He smiled one last time, took his bag, and left through the sliding doors, swallowed by the same tired sigh that had greeted him. For the rest of the day, Evelyn's hands trembled. The envelope sat under the register like a secret heartbeat. At closing time, she finally opened it. Inside was a check, more zeros than she had ever seen on paper, and a note that simply read, "For the woman who taught me that mercy is the first step to redemption. Daniel." Her breath caught. Tears blurred the ink. The reckoning. That night, she sat at her kitchen table, the check still in her hand, her tea gone cold. The rain tapped against the window like an impatient memory. She whispered to herself, "After all these years, I finally did something right." But then came the old guilt. How many people had she not forgiven in her own life? Her ex-husband, her sister, even her younger self, all locked in the vault of resentment. Daniel's gesture didn't just give her money. It gave her permission to forgive herself. The return. 2 weeks later, Daniel returned to the store. This time, he wasn't a customer. He stood by the counter, nervous, holding a small bouquet of lilies. "Thought I'd stop by," he said. "You always said flowers made people happy." Evelyn smiled, eyes damp. "I said that before life taught me otherwise." "Maybe life was wrong," he said. They shared a quiet laugh, the kind that heals small cracks in soul. A new beginning. A month later, Register 4 was empty. Customers asked where Evelyn had gone. The manager smiled. She retired, opened a little flower shop downtown. And sure enough, on the corner of Maple and Fifth stood Evelyn's Blooms, a cozy, sunlit place filled with soft colors and the smell of new beginnings. On the wall, framed in a simple wooden frame, hung a small note that every customer could see. Kindness never expires. Sometimes it just waits for the right day to return. The final scene. Every morning, Evelyn unlocked the shop and placed a fresh vase of lilies on the counter. And without fail, at least once a week, Daniel stopped by, sometimes to buy flowers, sometimes just to sit and talk. People who walked past them thought they were just two old friends sharing stories. But anyone who looked closely could see something deeper. Two lives that collided years ago in a mistake, and now stood side by side in forgiveness. The scent of lilies filled the air as Evelyn smiled, really smiled, for the first time in years, because she had finally learned that redemption doesn't come wrapped in apologies or fortune. It comes quietly, in the form of a man at a grocery store, saying, "Thank you," long after you've forgotten you ever deserved it. The end.